So I think we're in podcast 7. It could be podcast 6. Podcast 6, because it is Saturday night and the disco fever is consuming me there. Yeah. Do you feel it, Cahir?
I'm feeling it. I always
Lyndsey?
feel it.
Yes.
Do you feel it?
Yes,
Can we have a wee disco shake out there? Do you need to do wow, wow, wow? Right, so Cahir, musician, songwriter, tour manager, all round top dude, good people. We know Cahir from Fighting Maguire, Jet Plane Lantern, Frank Turner Band, and now the new Pagans with Lyndsey. You're both welcome to the Small But Massive podcast.
Thanks for having us.
You've just done a wee short set there, a few tunes, and they sounded great. So what did it feel like to be, and I could have just said to the good people out there who may be listening to this podcast that you said earlier on, it's the first time that you've ever done an acoustic set, and many people have asked you to do that. So on behalf of my crew, I totally appreciate you going from hard on, kick that pedal, pump up the sound, and give us pure rock and roll to chilling all back and giving the punters and your fans out there a different perspective of the tune. How did that feel for you, Cahir?
Well, it's weird for us because, yeah, like you say, we're always, wagging on the distortion. We're hiding behind the distortion pedal. We've got the drums blaring. We Connor's giving it the heap. So for us to do acoustic, it's weird. And we always do we try and turn down acoustic sessions, but I couldn't turn you down, Paddy.
Well, Cahir, I see and here. You walked by me earlier on and says, where is the kick drum coming from? My heart, lad.
I know.
It was my heart, lad. It was my heart.
I seen it bouncing out of your chest.
I know that. Well, Cahir, we first met 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
that long?
So I know you maybe. Do you have to knock 10 years off your age now to your wife?
Not at all. She knows the truth.
So, okay, maybe that's a mishap. Add 2 and 5 together. We know each other 7 years, Cahir.
Yes.
So we've known each other all that time, and I was in the Nerve Centre at the time, which would have been the Northwest Collective.
That's right.
Before, for people out there now that know the Nerve Centres, the 3 creative learning centres, one in Armagh, one in Belfast, and the main one in Derry and Magazine Street. So you were a young rock and roller then, and I happened to be in the course, and so 5 demos landed, and Marty McGill, I think, brought them in from different bands. And
That's right.
So your band was one of them, and it landed with me and PK. PK, yeah. So
my main man, PK.
Main man, PK, a legend of a man.
Love you, PK.
We love you. Another kick drum. Is that a kick drum for you, Cahir?
Definitely, yeah.
2 kick drums. Sunday?
Double kick.
Lyndsey.
Let's get the double kick going on there.
I tried to do it, but it just went.
See, it's
not the same.
It's the evil Lyndsey from Illinois. So, Cahir, when I listened to the demo, it was rock and roll in a sense, and I think at that time, listening back, one of the tunes anyway I felt was had an old raw Black Sabbath back in the day.
Yeah.
Was that right? And I know there've been other bands you would have probably been influenced by, but at that time I felt it anyway, and I felt it.
We were youngsters then, and it was recorded by Justin Foster, our good friend Justin.
Our good friend Justin.
Who was doing the course at the time and who was learning to be a sound engineer. And so they got to pick bands to do 5 songs, and we were one of those bands, and Justin ended up joining our band.
So he did.
Just after that,
so he did.
Were we need a guitar player. We need a second guitar player.
Do you know how he said to me he got his dreads? So he wore a hat and didn't take it off for a year. That's what he told me anyway. And next thing he just popped it out and picking there was dreads.
The dreads.
No, right? No, I didn't meet him before that. He could have dreads all the time.
He always had the dreads. As long as I've known him, he's always had the dreads. But he recorded us, and then it went to you guys. The review desk, review desk, and it was for.
Had the notes on that.
Do you remember the fanzine that used to go out in Derry back then? Pre-internet.
Yeah, it was a wee small one, wasn't it?
It was a fanzine, and you guys all did a review of the demos and went. And every week you'd go up to
Paddy G reviews demos.
Paddy G reviews the demo, and so your review for us was amazing. And
I remember.
I remember going.
That's why we're here.
Who's this Paddy G boy here? Who's Paddy G? You know what I mean? And we met then around that time, around that whole thing. But
That's
yes, to answer your original question, at the time I was like on a steady diet of sort of Nirvana, and that sort of, it was early 90s, so it was like 92 or something like that,
Yeah.
90, 93. And so we were on like a steady diet of Nirvana and the whole Seattle scene.
Because that scene had just sort of came in for your age group.
It just
then,
came
you
in
know.
for our age. I was like 16, 17
Yeah.
at the time. So it was like, it was a huge deal. You know what I mean? It like changed everything. And so from that scene, I started going back into like bands like Black Sabbath and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so...
Because that era would have just been passed, you know. And
Yeah,
it's
that
all,
was-
you know, it's like every intergenerational of music, you know. in
Yeah,
a sense,
and
just-
it's like now as well. Whenever you know, I'm working with you know, the kids at the Hot House up in Derry through Marty McGill, the Nerve
Yeah.
Centre and stuff like that, and you talk about you know, so who's your favorite artist and who are you listening to, and then they tell you, and then you can trace back
yeah.
the influences when you start
Yeah.
working with them,
Yeah.
working on songs.
Yeah.
You can
And
trace
do you
back
find that
influences.
even the young people there that would be in the Hot House and like a lot of young people being here, it's amazing how some of the old songs that pop up, like there's one of the young guys on here, he's doing an ELO song, but it popped up I think in Spider-Man or something at Mr. Blue Sky.
Yeah.
And so, you know,
Lots of that happens.
yeah, and
yeah.
so you know, you kind of hear a tune and you go, oh my god, it's a great tune, and it's like sticks in your head, and then all of a sudden, would you find that with the young people that the tunes that are coming from the past are coming forward, and
Definitely. I mean, it's weird, you know, if somebody is talking about a song or a band. I'm talking about bands to them and trying to give them influences, because we'll do a lot of songwriting workshops and stuff like that. So I'm trying to explain, no, maybe we do a song like Lemonheads, or maybe we do a song like, you know, like Nirvana or Weezer or something, you know, and then they're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
is it the freezing?
But does it
sorta?
sound like this? Does it
Yeah.
sound like, and they'll name a new band, like, you know, I can't, nothing springs to mind now because I'm old and I don't listen to new music because it's all terrible.
know.
But that's not true. But, you
You're
know,
a young chap. You're still a young man.
they'll name
You're
a
still, There's a
band.
good lump of breath in you yet. Like
Oh,
you're
there's a
pumping
wee
out-
bit of breath.
Lyndsey, isn't he
Wee
pumping
tiny
out
bit.
the breath there, isn't he?
A wee bit.
Aye, give him a wee pump there.
just give me a wee rub.
Give me a rub.
I'll be all right.
Keep it clean anyway. So,
But every now and then there'll be a song and I'll just say, oh, that was originally done by such and such. And or that's a cover and this is who did the original. And sometimes I'll say that and they'll go, oh, actually it wasn't them. The original was done by. And then they'll go even further back.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, I didn't know that.
yeah, but because sometimes if you just listen back and back and back, and as you said earlier on, you stick a distortion on it, all of a sudden it becomes grunge,
Everything. You get away
which
with
could have been
murder.
rock and roll back in the day. You know what I mean?
If you're out there and you're starting a band, buy a distortion pedal immediately.
Like if you were to give it one little part of wisdom from you, just like popped out like that, what pedal would you say to a young musician out there trying to? Because I know that going back to you, like you Fight My Ware and you Jet and Landon and Frank Turner, all the different people that you've bands you've been in and sounds you've had to create. So what kind of inspired you for your guitar sound? Yeah.
Well, I would say first things first, buy a tuner pedal.
Yeah.
Did you bring yours today? Cahir?
Silence. Be in tune. But what influenced my guitar sound was, so it's a weird question to sort of answer, but was just, I never really cared too much about what I had. And it comes from that sort of punk rock thing. If it had 6 strings and it could make a sound,
Yeah.
then I just went for it. And whatever came out, came out. I never, ever really paid attention to gear even right up until I was in Fighting with Wire. I always played other people's gear. I didn't have my own gear, or I would trash it, or it was, my guitar was broken. My amp didn't work anymore. Can I borrow your amp? Please don't fucking throw it in the drum kit.
Yeah.
Don't, And so
You had them wee explosive moments in the
Aye,
past where you
aye.
wanted to just lift the guitar and fire it across the...
You'd fire it across the
You
stage.
did?
Something, I used to do it a lot. And that was...
Did a wee voice come in your head and say, right, it's
Don't do it.
Destroy it immediately.
£1,500
Silence you.
worth. It's
Exactly.
£1,500 worth here. Let's throw it over Big
That's
Craig.
probably-
We'll be like, no, we'll be like, destroy it immediately. We're only in the second song. Go away. Yes,
Is that adrenaline, you think, when you're out there live, like, and as I say, I suppose, for you, Lyndsey, being out now with the new Pagans, like, had you played before on stage of a band, or had you just come in and all of a sudden you know, like, you met Cahir, hunk of burning love, you called him earlier on. She actually said it to me, so I just thought,
smouldering nightmare.
Smouldering.
Definitely didn't.
You're like a smouldering bit of Belgian chocolate. Just, you know, that's what
More
you're
like
like.
an old gas heater. It's kind of half works, one strip it works. You know what I mean? Just
An angry heater, I would
one of
get this thing to work. You hold the light on.
So sorry, Lyndsey. So what about yourself then, and getting into the likes of performance and all? I know because you're a textile artist, a mammy.
Yep.
And you've got many sort of things to juggle,
yeah.
and Cahir as well.
Yes, and Cahir to manage. Yes.
So
Big baby.
and he's juggling his own. He's senior jug, and then you've got a few wee junior jugs, haven't you?
Jugs,
The
yes.
three of them.
Three junior jugs.
Lyndsey has 3 babies.
No, it was the first, because it was, I haven't been in a band or anything, but I'd watched Cahir and my friends, and had been around musicians for years, and I always loved singing and stuff. But the first time we played in Derry in Sandino's, and they were all really, really, really nervous, and I was like completely fine, and I don't know what it was, but I think they were probably scared that I was going to mess up or something.
No, I think we were just nervous.
You probably knew what to expect, but I was like, this is going to be fine, and I don't know, it just did it, and from that moment I've been okay.
You've been fine. I've made so many mistakes, as you'll see tonight.
I think I've got confidence in all of them because they've got so many years experience.
Well, if you look at the new Pagans, for the people out there, you're a band that has a lot of experience, as you said. Conor McCauley and the drums, who plays in Balkan Alien Sound as well, a fantastic drummer, and you have Claire. Tell me this: did Claire play in a band years ago called Coda? Was it here, Cahir?
No, she played in Girls' Names.
Girls' Names,
And they played Glasgowbury as well.
I thought that.
You probably reckon it.
Yeah, and
Alan was in
Alan,
Rupture Dogs.
Rupture Dogs on,
That's right.
and you've got Cahir. So what's it like being man and wife on stage together? When people are looking up, going, wow. Are you sort of happy enough for that? Are you looking at my wife there? Are you looking at my husband there?
No, constantly kicking people.
I don't look at him when we're on stage. I have to look at him all week. So.
I think whenever we started the band, and I used to tell my friend, I've started a new band, and everybody roll their eyes straight away, right? I'd be like, yep, I'm back. But I've started a band with my wife, and everyone just assumes that you're doing like a country band or like a
smooth, soft,
like our acoustic love set there we did.
The American country radio song that you read out on. Oh, Cindy and Cahir,
the mid-tempo rock ballad. You know what I mean?
I could see a wee tear in your eye when you were.
I always cry, Paddy.
When you were just singing the tune.
Part of my personality.
I know just for the rest of the members of the New Pagans that particular song will never make a New Pagans album.
Never make it. No.
But
we're working on our own album. It's called. It's going to be the project that everyone expects, Lyndsey and me to do.
So do you think people were expecting to put out the twang, not the rock and roll again?
I would have to sort of preface it with kind of sound like Sonic Youth and PJ Harvey, and that's the kind of vibe, because no one says, what do you sound like when you say, me and. Which I don't know why this is the thing, but I would just like, me and my wife have started a band. They're just like, all right. And then they're not interested at all. I'll be like, it kind of sounds like Sonic Youth.
Well, also nobody knew
I wanted them to know
what
that
I would be like. So I suppose they were like,
I just wanted people to know that we were keeping the rock alive.
Yeah.
We were, you know what I mean? The flame is still burning.
Yeah, I know. And that's all. It's been burning for you all them years back I met you, and the amount of different bands you've been in. But how did you decide to start? So obviously, man and wife, were you itching to get another project going, Cahir?
yes. Charlene Haggerty is the reason, because she turned around, because Cahir was all, I'm going to start another band, because he just started one, Goons, and it wasn't.
Yeah, I started doing a thing with the guys from LaFaro, Alan and Dave and Herb, and sort of after LaFaro and Fighting with Wire had stopped, and I just thought I need to keep playing. You know what I mean? Because I was like, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I'd started working with Frank Turner at the time, and so we worked on a band for maybe a year or so, and it didn't work out ultimately, you know. But then I didn't know what I wanted to do after that. But Lyndsey and I had always spoken about.
Yeah, but you said, and Charlene and I, Charlene, he's our manager now, but she said, well, what's going on, Cahir? What are you doing? And he said, I'm going to start another band. And then she said to you, start it with Lyndsey.
Start it with Lyndsey, yeah.
And then we were like, yeah. We might not have come to that conclusion if she hadn't.
If she hadn't, true.
It was right there in front of her eyes, but we just...
Yeah. This is true, yeah.
How did any of these sessions in the house together, like we rambling sessions?
Well, the song we played for you today, Open to None, was the first song we wrote together in our kitchen in Belfast. Yeah. And that...
I was terrified though, and I was like singing like this here.
And we just... Yeah, and we
just...
You
were like, come on!
We just sent we recorded on the iPhone notes, and we just sent it to Connor and Claire first, and just said, do you want to be in a band? We're going to start a band. Do you fancy it? This is a song we wrote. And they were like, yes.
Definitely. So they basically, you just had like a small, was it like an
acoustic demo?
And well, that's the sign of a powerful song, because they just picked up on that right away.
They picked up, and then I sort of went to town. I was like, all right, well, let me work it up on Logic. Like I'll put on fake drums and and just let's see how it sounds. And they were all, this sounds great. And we started just rehearsing. It was a very slow process. And I was aware that from being in bands for a long time that the sort of organic growth of a band is very important. And,
that's definitely was your
do you
way.
know what I mean? And so Fighting with Wire was like that, and it was very enjoyable, and it was great to a point, you know what I mean? And then I wanted New Pagans to do that, and just sort of, and we're still there. It's very organic. This band has taken the last 4 years to sort of get to releasing our first record.
You had an EP out first.
We put an EP out last year, and you know what? We were going to put
Did that give you
together.
sort of confidence? And, like when you had all these things that you say you wanted to be involved in. Lyndsey was your first project, and yet again, you had 2 children at the time. You're probably, you do a lot of work externally out of New Pagans, Cahir, and yourself, Lyndsey, being a textile artist. And how did that all, what was it like trying to juggle all that and say to yourself, right, we're going to do an album now? What yourself, Cahir, that just the timing, I suppose, now what's going on, but you probably have already planned, thinking, and Charlene, sort of where you're going to go, when you're going to go there, how you're going to get there, who you're maybe even going to support, or who you're going to play, or festivals or anything like that there. Is this something that, because you said the word organic there, maybe I'm wrong, it makes me think that you're happy with the way the pace is going, and maybe being where you are, there's, like you chatted earlier on, looking back years ago when you first met, being at the festival, or down the cellar you first met. Just on that point, was it like love at first sight, or was it sort of, was there a wee, did you, Cahir, you
didn't talk?
Well,
were you playing aloof, were you?
I was doing this.
I could hide.
Did he give you the wee eyes? Did he give you
at the time, I had long hair, Paddy. I had long hair, and I could just hide behind it. I could look at everybody.
I don't think you even looked at me.
No,
it wasn't until years later that we talked about seeing each other at that gig.
But that was the moment that sort of kicked it off.
And we'd spied each other there, and then sort of later that year, I think we met for the first time then, so.
Brilliant.
But I mean, yes, the organic thing with the band was, and is very, very important, because, I mean, we didn't try and force anything. And so writing the album, I mean, these songs were written over the last 4 years. And so we thought last year that maybe we'd put the album out, but we decided against it and did an EP. And then we thought we should definitely document the first 4 years of the band and do a full length record, a long player. So that's why the album comes out now. We're like, these are the first 4 years of this band. And this reflects that. And we're very proud of it. It's called The Seed, The Vessel, The Roots and All. And it comes out 19th of March, which is on Friday. So we're really excited about it. And, it was a very natural process because
Yeah.
it started off as a 4-piece, and we had Connor and Claire on board, and then Alan was helping out sort of on the sides, and then we were writing so many songs and bits and all. I was just like, we need another guitar player, and I was going away and working with Frank as well.
Turner
So
tour.
I was touring with him a lot.
Yeah.
So
And how long have you been with Frank Turner? Just for the people out there, Cahir?
I've been with Frank now maybe 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as Fighting with Wire finished, I mean, even just as it finished, I think at the end of 2012, I started working for Frank, and it was like a great opportunity and thing to do after I'd been so intensely involved in sort of that band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, Craig.
Was that around like this? Was it Cut the Transmission?
Yeah, that was our final show. That was our final show, and sort of everything had been building to the point I nearly had a nervous breakdown because of Fighting with Wire, a mental breakdown. I don't know what you want to call it. It was difficult times. I mean, we'd signed the Atlantic, and we'd
Well, just for people out there. All right, sorry to interrupt you. Just for people out there to get the timeline of Fighting with Wire, and so you first started Fighting with Wire. There was Jimmy King and yourself.
Yeah, so I think Fighting with Wire was born out of I was playing in jet plane at the time, and I had a band called Clear Shot, and
Clear Shot was you played the first Glasgowbury
that's right,
festival.
we played the
Clear
first,
Shot,
and sort of out of that, our good friend Marty McCafferty took his own life, and that ended Clear Shot, and sort of moved us on to a new chapter where Craig and myself wanted to keep playing, and I was over in London at the time living with Andrew and doing jet plane landing.
Yeah.
And so I came home. When I came home, Craig and I would sort of jam, and we had many bass players before Jamie came in. I think we had like Kevin Nash, I think was
That's
the
right,
first
Kevin
one.
was the first.
My brother Oshin played for a while. We had Rob Elliott.
That's
Herb
right.
McGee played
Yeah.
in Fighting with Wire.
Have
for a
you
while.
something about bass players in your band then, Cahir?
Yeah,
Yes.
well, that band in particular, yes, it was weird. I think
Did
Kevin
you
Nash.
do a foot bit?
No, I mean it
did
wasn't.
you put them out or
no,
just,
no, not at all. They all wanted to leave. I think it was me. I mean, personally, they were just like, "Fuck this boy." But Kevin Nash is the funniest because he was just like. At one that he was Kevin's so
Because Kevin
nice.
was a songwriter at that time
and
himself.
a brilliant,
Yeah,
and
he was
he's
a
a brilliant
great singer,
voice,
wasn't he?
a great singer,
Yeah.
an amazing
And
player.
he didn't do any stuff.
He was playing bass in Fight with Wire, and we
Yeah.
were me and Craig I was goldering down a mic, and Kevin's like, it's got this amazing sort of Jeff Buckley-esque voice,
yeah.
and here's me goldering, like, and the mic, and Kevin probably he just thought, this is fucking shite. And when he left the band, he for ages had been kind of, we knew something was up, and I just say, look, Kevin, just tell us straight, and he's just like, I really just don't like the music at all. It's just not my thing. And I was like, that's totally fine. That is 100% fine. And then he was so relieved, and we were relieved, you know what I mean? Because Kevin he's a really good friend, you know what I mean? And then we got Herb McGee, and Herb's a great bass player, and loved rock and whatever. Ultimately, it didn't work out with him, and then we got Jamie.
Yeah.
And Jamie was a perfect fit because he's a maniac.
Yeah. But Jimmy, he went on to the film school in
He's
London.
a film school,
Yeah,
and he's an
editor now.
He edited all our videos up to now, isn't he?
There you go. And,
so he's still involved. You know what I mean?
But it's showing you that it shows too. I suppose even like yourself, Lyndsey, balancing the two different types of forms of work. Jimmy has now went on and films this thing, and I think it's not Goldsmiths. No, I'm not sure what's Goldsmiths.
I can't remember where he's working. But and
he's
Craig,
graduated though.
Yeah.
And he got on to a scholarship.
He got an amazing opportunity, and nailed it, of course.
Yeah.
We couldn't get him for Harbour's video because he was so busy.
Yeah.
Our latest single, he was so busy. He was just like, look,
he's going like this.
you know.
Well, I suppose like you're both projecting in different ways, and Jimmy's doing his
And
thing.
Craig is building his own drums, and Craig lives in Canada. He moved to sort of after Cut the Transmission. He up and moved, him and Rachel, and started a family in Canada, and he builds drum kits.
The drum kits are
Ava drums, they're
amazing.
Unbelievable.
unbelievable.
Well, let's do
And
a
if
wee
you're a
ad.
drummer,
Right,
you-
Yeah, do we ad?
Right. So here, it's interlude time.
Interlude.
Welcome to our ad break. In tonight, we have Cahir O.D., as in Cahir O'Doherty, who's going to give you the lowdown on the greatest snare this side of the Canadian border with Mr. Craig McLean.
Craig McKean runs a company called Ava Drums. Are you a drummer? Yeah, you are. You need to buy one of Craig's drum kits because they are off the chain, off the rails, unbelievable. Check it out, Ava Drums.
Ava Drums.
Craig, you owe me money for me and Paddy. You owe us money for this. Is that right?
So, used on your the album.
Used on the new Pagans record and
other records,
which are soon to be announced.
I was like,
so.
Yeah, check out Craig's Ava Drums. It's amazing.
They are deadly, aren't they?
And they're beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's amazing. And I know he was a joiner because we used to rehearse. Yeah. It was a Donegal man.
That's right.
And you went down and then up, and
that's right. We rehearsed on his farm, his parents' farm. God love those people. They were so good to us, and they put up with a lot. Well, us making noise every day down in their farm. You know?
I actually was in it because I was part of taking your roles. I was the road crew. I was the tour manager.
Yes.
I was
You've done it all, Paddy.
The chatter between chats, and I was the man that had to look after you and all this here. Yeah. But on that trip, it was the Working Class Heroes Festival.
That's right.
And you were, Angela Durgan had great belief in fighting my wire right from the start.
Fair play to Angela,
which was amazing. And because there was a showcase Temple Bar. Out the back, the stage flicked out. Bell X1, I think.
That's right.
And there was a few, because actually, Riptide Movement, remember, played the festival. They came in to see, and there was a few different bands that played down south. So
I was right at the start of Fighting with Wire too, and Angela took a big risk, sort of bringing us down and putting us on there. You know what I mean? And I think that sort of spurred us on. You know, I'm like, we can do this. I think we can do this. You know what I mean? Because Fighting with Wire was. Like I say, in between Jet Plane and Craig and I started Fighting with Wire, and it was very much an organic build as well. We were just enjoying it, being in a band, and we were writing songs. None of the lyrics were finished, and and so we go and do loud gigs, and it just built very naturally. And we were having a great time doing it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so and same with when Jamie joined the band, the chemistry within that band was fantastic, and it never, our band didn't finish because Craig, Jamie, and I didn't like each other or we fell out. It was because we let other people in. Yeah. And that's when we lost control of it. That's when it sort of broke apart. And
what I wanted people to know out there was that I woke up in the hostel the next morning with a pile of hardware lying at my feet and not one bad member to be seen. So actually, there was a cleaner came in.
Where did you go?
It freaked me out. And I was some tour manager, lost the band. Lost the band. And but I think there was a nightclub involved.
There was a nightclub involved, yes.
Do you want to say any more?
I can't really remember. I think we definitely stayed in the hostel for a time.
Well, we
were there for a while, and then we left again.
Well, I did too, I should say.
Yeah.
Because I need to tell you my part of the story now that I met a guy called John Ellis at, the big pin in Dublin.
Yeah.
He was a Fermanagh man. He says, sure, we'll go a walk, Paddy. So we went to Dander, and then I forgot about the band. And at that stage, I think you did go back to get an old crusty roll or maybe pumped in.
Oh, aye.
But we got there, and that's the same day we met
Brendan Gleeson, that's right. Wandering through Temple Bar with a briefcase, and Paddy just went straight up to him, hand out straight away. What about you, big man? How's it going? And Brendan Gleeson was just like, oh, right. And it was like you'd known him all your life. Yeah. And I was just standing there going, What is going on here? But he was great. He was enjoying every minute of it.
He was brilliant. And that was a brilliant. And I also one of your videos for Fight to Wire where we had the black van. We had to come out and
that's right. That's right.
I was a dude in the brown leather jacket.
That's right.
Remember, I beat you up. I apologise for that.
I enjoyed every minute of it. But I couldn't believe that because they let us do our own music video. It was for All for Nothing.
Yeah.
And we came up with this whole idea.
Wally was on it.
Wally was on it. We had all our friends in it, and Baz, and we had a collection, and Brian and Richie, everybody who was on, all our friends basically were like, here, we're doing a video. We want everybody to be on it. But it wasn't like a we're at a gig video. It was like a full scripted. We've stolen something. It was acting and stuff. Yeah. It was like, I can't believe I can't believe they let us do it.
It was good.
And it went to number 1, I think, at MTV2 videos or something like that. I mean,
and the last corner, the van went round at the very end. It broke down. Do you remember?
Oh, aye. And you and you and Liam and Alan Manning, that's right. You played like robbers.
Aye, we come out to take all your money.
Check it out. It's called All for Nothing by Fighting with Wire. Check it out. You'll see all these maniacs.
All for Nothing, Fighting with Wire. Check it out, people. On YouTube and all the rest.
YouTube
and our song. And as I say, I shouldn't let people know that we're with a mask on there and how we all, like. They'll not know now who we are.
Yes.
I'm the one with the brown leather jacket. I actually was an extra in Breakfast in Pluto, and that exact rig out, flares and that jacket, got me into it. Not anything that I could act or anything.
So you look great. Let's go.
Wardrobe. I didn't even have to dress me. I just got on it. So there you go.
Well, that's what I thought. I need 3 murderers. Who do I get? Liam, Alan, and yourself. I was just like, get a few D-Town lads up and.
So look. Going back to your good sales, from you're both living together, married, children, and all that there. So who would do the cooking in the house, and or is it a case of one person cooks and the other drinks wine, other person cooks and the other drinks beer? Or you could turn around to me and say, I actually drink beer and wine, so that's fine. So you can do both. So
I drink beer. He doesn't.
I don't.
Cahir doesn't drink beer.
I don't drink beer.
Cahir, have you stopped drinking the old?
I stopped drinking beer because I'm so bored of it.
You can't really drink, let's be honest.
I can't drink either. I'm really bad at it.
Gives me a rash. No.
Does it give you a wee rash?
Gives me a rash.
I don't want to ask where. Like,
you don't want to know where.
But you're shifting around that chair there. You're wobbling around that chair there.
Honestly.
No, but it's not. It doesn't agree with me. But I love wine. And then I had this phase a few years ago where I was drinking, when I was on the road with Frank, I was drinking old fashions every day.
Oh, yes.
I had to
got a wee bit chubby.
I got chubby. I was like,
I
was just getting like fat. Cahir was out. And
it was fine.
Was your belly button sort of coming out?
The belly was out, and I had a.
It's like a wee baby's rocking chair. That sort
but he was in denial.
Baby's rocking chair started.
I was in denial. So then I stopped doing that.
Because I said, what's going on? Like, why are you feeling uncomfortable in your own body? And then eventually it came out one old fashioned a day. One old fashioned a day. And then it was 2 and then maybe 3. And I was like, that's going to make a difference.
Woodford Reserve old fashioned.
You loved it, but he's very good at an old fashioned too.
Very good at making. You ever need one and I'm about, I can do it. But wine is my tipple now, and very sort of once in a blue moon.
But I cook most. But Cahir does cook, and he makes an amazing burger. Veggie burger, actually.
I can't cook.
Are you a vegetarian now?
Not at all.
No,
I'm a carnivore.
You've cut down.
But I have cut down on the red meat. You have to when you start getting old and fat and and old. And you can't see anymore, and
you stop stop the meat.
You stop the meat.
So hashtag Cahir stopping the meat. Are we telling the world that?
Lyndsey?
Hashtag Cahir stopping the meat. So you mentioned Charlene Higgerty earlier on there. So Charlene is
or Marlene Haggerty, as she's also known as.
Well, is that what we'll call
People
it?
You'll know.
It's a sort of name that Cahir wears the mask. And
Cahir.
If you go and check out the old Fight with Wire tour videos, she used to be our tour manager, and she would make an appearance every now and then on our tour videos. Marlene Haggerty. Check it out.
Marlene Haggerty.
Marlene Haggard.
Haggerty. How would you pronounce it?
Charlene.
Do you go down the back of the throat? Haggerty. Oh, that's more like a try that.
Like a pirate.
You're not going to do it. She's not here with us.
No, she's not with us today.
So
don't embarrass her.
So Marlene Haggerty, right? So Charlene's your manager now, and so does that take? I suppose it takes some of the roles away, because I know that Cahir, you from over the years knowing you, you like to know what's going on now, where it's going to, who's got it, what are they doing with it, what's the next phase to go forward with it.
Well,
and,
I can tell you this, Paddy.
within.
I can tell you this, right? Charlene does an amazing job. It's great. Yes, I always sort of manage Fighting with Wire. I managed up to a point, you know what I mean? But you then have to hand it over to someone you trust and you believe in and who has your best interests at heart. Charlene is all of that, and she's an incredible person to have.
She's a wee bit scary.
She is also the scariest.
Is she a ninja?
She's a ninja.
Does she
She
messes me
keeps
up.
us on.
Do you want to know why? She's just from down the road.
I know. That's why.
Because
she's
the mountain air is just going flying through her veins.
Totally.
She is powerful.
She's powerful. So
she is the ultimate witch.
We all adore her,
she's
but
the
we're
final
also a wee
boss.
bit scared.
If you're getting a level of managers or witches, right, and she's the final boss of both, that's like managers and witches combined. She is the ultimate boss.
she is the
You're like,
manifestation of them both.
I can't beat the final boss. She final
She's gonna
boss.
kill you.
She is going to kill me. She
you're
is
all right.
amazing.
Yeah.
I love her. She is like my sister. She is.
You have known
incredible.
Charlene back since the small town America days.
I think she was 17 when she first came out.
Yeah.
Before that, with Fighting with Wire, she worked for Peter Fleming.
That's right.
In Mahara.
And Schism.
And Schism, that's right.
That's right.
And so Peter was working with Fighting with Wire right at the start. And that's how we met Charlene. And Peter said, you know, I've got this, the way he put it, I've got this wee girl who wants to tour manage. Cahir, would you take her out and tour? And I was like, yes. So I remember we pulled up outside Charlene's house.
In Mahara.
in Mahara.
Yeah.
In the van. You know what I mean? Which I think the Woodburn and Savages have that van now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They inherited after Fight with Wire. We
And it's
pulled
still
up.
going strong.
Fair play to that van.
yeah.
You know, we look after a van.
Here,
that
Cahir, just
serve
on
you
that,
well.
I went that van. I didn't lose the Woodburn and Savages, so we lost Fighting the Wire. I went to Glastonbury with Paul and the boys in that van.
In that van,
yeah.
see,
That's
that
exactly-
van has
I could
seen
feel your spirit.
good.
On
It was definitely
the
still
odd
on
time
there.
I'd hear this wee, and I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was.
Might have
your
been
spirit.
Marlene. She was kicking around there still. But we pulled up outside Charlene's parents' house in the black van. You know what I mean? And we just slid the door open and went, "Get in, you wee witch," or something like that there. And her mum and dad were the door. And they're like, "What is it?" No, we have a rock music blaring out, and these, you know, three maniacs in this van, and we're going on tour. And Charlene was, I think she was 17.
Must have been 18.
All right, 18. And she got in the van with us and she said, "Oh, don't worry, Mommy, I'll be fine. We'll look after her, Miss Haggerty, don't worry." And we speed off and to get the ferry over and sort of she had to just roll with the punches, and she absolutely nailed it. She's amazing. She sort of took a lot of the work from us on the road and she nailed it. Within the first few shows, she was running it.
But she was keen
know.
to do that, and to have someone like that on your side now that you can check out all them many years back that was there as a tour manager sense. She'll know what it should look like when she arrives. She knows who to meet when she arrives. She knows what to do when she arrives, and she knows how.
But she went through small town America, and she worked through that, and she worked as a, you know, in that side of things as well. And then she got her degree in business and law. Sorry, and she is 100% organised and on the ball. She's amazing, and you know, she's probably sitting going, "Go on, shut up, talking about."
Well,
me
it's
now."
the thing that you need with a manager, I think, is the trust thing that you talked about
Yeah.
today, Paddy. That's
Yeah.
really important. You need to be able to trust them with everything because they know everything. They've access to everything. So it's that trust thing.
She can
isn't it?
ruin me at any moment. But it is.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to sort of. We've always wanted to sort of build a team for this band that, you know, you can just phone
Yeah.
at any time and talk to them, and just you're not going through emails, you're not going via this or that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And there's no path or assistant to get through. It's like direct line, and we shout each other all the time. And that's the way it should be. You're
Yeah.
like, "Do this, no, I don't agree." And that is how it works.
But she was there among at Small Town America at a time when So Watching From Afar was there, LaFaro and yourselves Fighting the Wire, and Jet playing Lanton, obviously. And so you had, going back, you had Andrew, who was a great innovator and a great entrepreneurial sort of spirit and mind, and still being innovative in what he does. So me looking back then, that hearing about this label that was there and had all these bands even from England and different places, Lyndsey and Cahir signed up. I thought that was amazing, and thinking that somebody from here had the mindset to run it. I know that and the different parts of the UK, they would have had more advanced structures. But I suppose going back to when the label was going, like, it was really, because at that time independent labels, they had strength, you know, and I think they were getting together, like a bit like the Association of Independent Music, and all the different labels, the independent labels were showing themselves. And I know there's a lot of them connected to majors now, but back then they were running
truly
their own
independent.
ship. Yeah, and you done that with like, I mean, thinking back to that time, that would to me, it was something that I suppose was lacking in the north back in the day. Infrastructure. We chatted about this, Cahir, back in the day, and it was sort of like, if you look at the festival, there was a camaraderie within the people working in it.
Yeah.
There was a camaraderie between the bands arriving. There was a camaraderie, like even yourself, someone that was right up to being signed for Atlantic was standing up and stage managing was us.
Totally.
And
Wouldn't miss it.
And I think that's the thing sometimes that shocked a lot of the younger bands coming. Here all of a sudden, so watch you up on the stage helping. There's all these people helping, and I think that time, when you look back, you had the G sessions on, you had gigs in Newry and Oma, Dicey Riley's, you had Derry and Belfast, but there seemed to be more small venues. So what about now for yourselves, looking out and looking at the scene? Because I suppose what we have to look at now is you guys, like other people come in here to the podcast with me, would have 12, 18 months planned ahead, obviously. And you had babysitters booked when you were in Taiwan, you had babysitters booked when you were in London, and all these different things, you know. Well, take the Waynes with us to Dublin, Limerick and Cork. Isn't that right, Cahir? Yeah. You put that in Charlene's wee page. We're going to have the Waynes down. Lyndsey, bring them down to Cork, Limerick, and
get them on the bus.
Get them on the bus, and we'll go young, you know, and we'll sing wee folk songs to them. But how was that, you know, at that time? Did you see, like to me, like we were getting, the people that were doing our stages had learned over the years what it takes to be on stage. It's like even when we went over the Wood Burning Savages, and everything was cleared quick, and even the monitor man even said it, this is amazing, and everything was gone quick. But like even Paul and them had learned that, you know, and people like yourself had learned it on the road yourself, you know, and the importance of clearing up quick and all these things. But now, if you look at it back then, you know, you have people like Paul Clegg, who's running tours now and connected to the tour bus company in Swatra. Crossland. Right. Like, you know, I remember one time being at one panel, I was invited to Cahir. And I happened to say that, you know, look no further for rock and roll in South Derry, because Crossland was there and we were doing the festival at the time. And, you know, for a small area, it was happening, and they're still happening. And I suppose even with themselves now having the splinter van, seeing that need, you know, the need. So back then for you, what would you think the industry was here? Was it structured right, or was there money? Was there money going into things that weren't put in the right way? Or as a young musician back then, because I think you told me that you got contacted in the middle of the night. You didn't know who contacted you, and you thought it was like a bluff call, and then you realised that it was a really important dude from Atlantic.
Yeah. I mean, it was weird because, like, we'd done the jet plane thing, and we'd moved. You know, a lot of bands thought that moving to London was where you go to get, you know, signed or to make it in the music industry, you know. And so I think Andrew was living in London at the time, and they'd already started Jet Plane Landing. I was in Clearshot still at the time, and basically I moved over to try and further Clearshots. I just thought, you know, I'm going to get out of Derry and I'm just going to move over there and sort of...
You wanted to be on the scene, didn't you?
I wanted to be on the scene, and I wanted to figure out what it was all about. You know, I was young. I was in my like early 20s or something. I moved over, and I joined Jet Plane Landing because it made sense for me and Andrew and all, and Jamie and Rafe to be in a band together. You know what I mean?
How did London feel for you coming from Derry?
I didn't like London. I just for me it was very constricting. I mean, all I did really was sit and write songs. You know what I mean? For Jet Plane Landings, you know, that album Once Like a Spark. So I just sat and sort of intensely did that, and you know, at the time it was weird because things were happening. We started playing gigs and things were moving forward. And then I think the band was offered a record deal with Southern Records, and Andrew and Jamie and we were all pondering over it. And then we just thought, you know, I think there was one line in the contract that we couldn't get over. And, you know, we were like, well, we just start our own label. You know, and just there was no intention other than to just put out
you wanted to put
jet plane landing stuff, you know what I mean? Because we had worked with Nathan McGough. Well, Andrew and Jamie had worked with Nathan McGough and Clear Shot. And Nathan McGough used to manage the Happy Mondays as manager, and he ran a label called Yoga Boy, a small indie. And so we released through that, and then that relationship had kind of stopped. And so we were looking for a vessel or something in order to, you know, get our own material out. Now, it was never, ever, like it went on to release, you know, like you said, Fight with Wire, and so Watch From Afar, Oppenheimer,
first time.
All that stuff. And so...
Do you know that wee tune?
I do.
It was never... it was never supposed to do that. It was merely for jet plane landing.
But do you think that happened because... I'm not saying that different eras have different emotional responses. I'm not making that an issue here, but I think at that time there was a lot of bands about in a small area. I know there's a lot of bands could be about now. I'm maybe because we don't do the G section, I don't see as many. But comparing back then to now, Lyndsey, where you are, and you were with Cahir at the early days too, and you would have seen all them bands and all. Because I think sometimes too, Cahir, as you know yourself, there's only so many people going to be into original content. Mm-hmm. And there's only so many different genres of them people that are into that type of content that's out there. So it's kind of, I suppose, for us on the hill, you had all these fusions of, as you say, the rock and roll bands, the heavier bands. What I noticed over the years, instruments changing, bands taking in different things, and that back in the early days, a lot of guitar-driven bands. And did you feel that, or like there was transition, like Oppenheimer, for instance, fantastic.
We're kind of like electro pop,
Yeah.
and so I mean, we eventually the label started doing stuff when we moved back to Northern Ireland. I came back and started Fighting with Wire here, and as there was a scene sort of bubbling here at the time. Like we used to come through and play it with jet plane, and we play in Auntie Annie's and it'd be rocking, you know what I mean? And there was a big sort of, and you'd started the festival and you guys were pushing that, and Clear Shot had done it, and then I remember working at it, and I think you had Corrigan headlining, and it was like, the festival starting to take shape.
I want your water.
And you had the undertones.
Yeah.
I want your water.
I want your water. I want your water. Cahir, what do you want? I want your water.
Martin, please. But
do you know that song?
Yes, I actually like.
I know.
Give us a wee line.
No, I am not.
I want your water.
But the funny thing was,
Kill me.
No, it's brilliant. A brilliant album. A brilliant song.
Oh, great! I had moved back from London because I wanted to come home. You know what I mean? And then I was faced with this scene and what you guys were doing here, and sort of I seen the Belfast scene. There was something bubbling. So like Fight with Wire then just started. I remember going and playing shows. I think the first show we ever did in Belfast was the Front Page.
Yeah.
And there was like a few people there. There was maybe 10 people there, and one of them was Stevie Blues from Swanee.
River.
One was Helen Toland and the ATL, Paul
ATL,
McLean, those people. And sort of, we went down, we had like 6 songs, I think, and we just played, and they started writing about us and started, it felt like a scene was waiting to happen. And there were so many other bands. And then we started playing shows and more people started coming.
Yeah.
Like we'd never experienced that before.
Even up in your hometown.
In our hometown, Derek, we were playing shows and people started actually turning up.
Yeah.
We were like, I think people are into our band because we were just so used to going down and Clear Shot and playing to fucking nobody.
But at
in
that
Belfast.
time, I know with us, you come down and played the G sessions and all. I know that there was people. What I found was happening was you had young people coming from all around Marfelton, all around Cookstown and all, and then they were getting to an age they were going to university, and then they were supporting down there as well. So you had a kind of a like it was nearly like a that. I'm not saying you get into a pub and I'm nearly the age to drink. I possibly could be Cahir. Do you think I am the age to
Not
drink?
at all. I think you need to show me your ID. Probably,
I
if
know.
you
I
want
think
to-
I'll show you my ID there. But
No, but you're dead
do you know,
right.
Do you know,
Yeah,
know what
you're
I mean?
dead
Is
right.
them sort of wee,
Yeah.
stepping stones, and then you had them people supporting it, and all of a sudden, like. You book a band for Noma in the festival, and all of a sudden there would be only people coming to see. There would be people from Derry
Yeah.
coming to see that sort of, and then they're seeing the other bands, and then all of a sudden, I didn't know the new Pagans were here. I didn't know that about LaFaro. I didn't know this, and then people complaining. Obviously, you put bands on in the middle of the day, and
Yeah.
they wreck the place and pack its
Totally,
tents
yeah.
out. But that's all
But
part of the
it all-
programming.
I think everything, again, we'll go back to that word organic. It grew very
Yeah.
organically.
Yeah.
Your festival.
Yeah.
All the sort of bands in that scene at the time was, and Small Town had relocated back to Derry, you know what I mean? Andrew had moved back, and it was all right. Everything just, it's like, a moment in time.
Yeah.
And it all worked. And you had, all those bands.
But you were signed to a
working.
major. Cashier
Yeah.
number 9 were signed at the time.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And there was
Red Organ Serpent
a Red Organ
signed to a
Serpent
major.
signed to major.
I mean, I remember, like, the thing that really sort of gave me hope growing up in Derry was the Cuckoo, a band from Derry that Andrew was in, and Roy O'Doherty and,
That's
and
right.
Jason and Brian, you know what I mean, who passed away recently. They signed to Geffen.
Yeah.
In the late 90s, which blew my mind.
I was
because
on the
like,
gig.
oh my God.
I'm not sure it was Petters or wherever, but I was in.
I know where it was because I was there.
And-
It was upstairs in the Castle Bar, and they'd put the tinfoil
Andy
around.
Kearns from Therapy
lethal.
was in that night watching
amazing.
as well.
It's amazing.
And it was a class gig, and it was packed out.
Packed.
And the PA was small enough.
Oh, but it was unbelievable. It blew my mind. And I thought then, I was like, if they can do this,
Yeah.
and Stum as well, he signed to Columbia Records, you know what I mean? These are huge labels and set in America. Geffen had Nirvana and Beck. You know what I mean? You're
I
like,
know.
fucking what?
I know you read stories in the cool magazines over the years about these labels, and and then all of a sudden you know somebody that's in it.
Fucking Derry boys fucking saying, I was like, right, how do I fucking get on this train?
Yeah.
How do I do this? And I knew that it took a lot of work. Do you know what I mean? And so that gave me hope. Obviously, Derry has a long history of great bands, the Undertones and, Stum and all those bands that came out.
That's right.
Amazing. You know what I mean? Everyone has set their...
I remember seeing Stum at the Gasyard Festival. Fela, do you know, just
I remember
when it was
Fela.
just before it's all done up now, Cahir, the big building.
I know when it was just out in the field.
Yeah.
And the Wayne just to throw dirt at you.
It was
They'd
literally
stick a
field.
pipe on the ground, fucking throw the dirt at your eyes
I
as
know.
hard as they
And,
could.
Maybe an old scrambler go flying by you and you try and eat a wee sandwich.
You freaks! You know what I mean? Yeah, they dodge on stage.
I know, I mind it was deadly. And the whole tribe sings. I
That's
remember
right,
them
that,
playing
yeah.
it. You know,
And
Paddy and Daggy McLaughlin's
all those
ex-band,
boys, we went to America and that's, that amazing. I mean, it
Yeah.
was just like they actually went, we're going to America and we're going to play out there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Christian and Jeremy and all those guys went to the States. And so, I mean, there was a lot of hope there at the time and sort of whenever, and so watching from afar and LaFaro and that whole scene and in and around the festival started growing, it was like, we'd finally arrived, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you had your big bands like Snow Patrol and Ash and all
yeah,
those
yeah.
people who had to move away to sort of make it, you know what I mean? But this was happening here in our own backyards.
in a small country.
In a very small country and like...
With a small but massive output.
A small but
Yeah.
massive output, yes. And,
Right.
But another thing as well about it, another thing which absolutely blew my mind was like touring bands would come through and actually there would be more support for the local bands.
Yeah.
So touring bands, no one was turning up to fucking see them. And yet, you had, So Watch You selling out Mandela and you
Exactly.
had, LaFaro selling out fucking
Yeah.
Limelight.
And The Answer.
And
The
the
Answer
answer
at the time,
going
yeah.
on tour with AC/DC and fucking Two Door Cinema Club
Yeah.
blowing up across the world.
Exactly.
And it was like Northern Ireland were fucking dishing out the hits. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was an amazing time.
And
you know?
just because you're in on it now, so we avoided it all night. But see with COVID now, right, and the uncertainty of I've chatted to many people in here that there's always this thing about you plan, then you plan again. And do you think that the scene will take off bigger and better after this? Do you think that will people, like you're away from something that long? There's two reactions can happen. One is you're never going to go back into that, or you're just going to be mad to go in again. And so, what would you think? Lyndsey,
What
what
do you
think? Because Lyndsey, you're sitting now, right? So you're sitting doing all the interviews for New Pagans.
So I'm enjoying this.
And and you are a woman of the world. You were, and because you were on recently in the radio speaking about being a mother and looking after Cahir. So for people out there listening, for you as a rock and roll front lady, what's it like, and the scene as a lady and
well, that's what I was going to say, because it was very much dominated, wasn't it? Like when I was about 18, this is just before I met you, a few years before I met you, when I came up to Belfast, I'd kind of wanted to be in a band and I'd wanted to do music, and I just couldn't find a way into the scene actually, except to just go to gigs and enjoy the music, which was great. But any time like I shared demos with people and stuff, they were like, that's brilliant. But none of the guys wanted to work with me, and I just think that they weren't seeing it in Northern Ireland, so that they just couldn't see it as a possibility. There was maybe a lot of singer-songwriter girls, but no like bands. So I think the difference now is that for me, looking out, like there was always the exceptions. There's Anna and LaFaro and a few other people that you would have toured with,
and then there was.
And those were the girls that I looked at. Like Anna and LaFaro was my hero. I was like, she's amazing. Like I went to the gig and just watched Anna.
Yeah, she had a very strong presence.
Oh, she was brilliant. Yeah, and so like. It was because of that, like I thought I even had the idea that I could do it.
Do you think that for what's I'm listening there, do you think it was male dominated? There wasn't a sort of entrance strategy for ladies in the music industry, and in many forms, because I suppose we should say it that you've got photographers, you've got videographers now, and you've got all these different roles that people can have. Teching, scaffolding, setting up everything.
rigging the whole thing.
So the world is changing. But so back then, so you thought that it wasn't people weren't.
Well, I was listening to music like from PJ Harvey and obviously Sonic Youth and everything. I mean, it's happened all across the world, but I think Northern Ireland was quite unique in the sense that it was still male dominated when I was a teenager into my early 20s. But that has changed. We don't have that now. I think it's very even. And it could be getting there anyway.
It could, and looking back, like as I say, last year we were 20 years old. I'm not a teenager anymore, Cahir.
I don't believe that for a second.
I know. I should be, pulling back and wising up a bit, but hey,
No, it never happened. No.
But going back in, Lyndsey, there was no industry. Because I remember looking, I said to Cahir, and we tried over the years and contacted agents and different things and to try and get them over, but we hadn't the power or the budget. And there was some came over on their own bat over the years, which is good enough. They just turned up and done their thing, which is a better way. You don't have to flava. I like very interesting people, rather than the VIP, other VIP, you know what I mean, sections. So that going back to that there probably wasn't that many people you could actually, chat to as such and actually get a gig. You know what I mean, Cahir? Because like there was people, we booked people from the south that there were. I mean, if a fight like Ips, for instance, and,
exactly.
And you have people there that were led by the female.
There was a very strong female sort of band scene in the south of Ireland, definitely. You know what I mean? And that's not saying that there wasn't in Northern Ireland, but I believe that they weren't getting a fair shake. Do you know what I think? You know what I mean? There was a lot of female artists, but they just were getting ignored.
It was certainly as a young woman, it wasn't visible to me. There was some issue there. I'm not sure what that was. And at the time, I didn't even know that, Paddy. I just thought that none of these guys wanted to be in a band with me. They kept saying, "I'll record your stuff," and will you go on a date with me or something? But they weren't taking me seriously as an artist, as their equal, as their peer, because it just wasn't there. But I think somewhere along the line, that's changed.
It's changing now, isn't it?
It's changed.
There's a lot of
there's a lot of support there as well with like the likes of yourselves and the OES Centre and the Nerve Centre. I think that all of those organisations are helping to get young girls.
I think, you're certainly right. And the three organisations you mentioned there are, I suppose, always been kind of trying to manoeuvre around it. The Nerve Centre are a good few years on now and doing great work all around. I suppose we're what we do in the rural areas, but at the same time, you need that space like here that if you're a young band, that you spoke earlier on, Cahir, about young bands, to play and just to play and get used to playing, because sometimes if you're put in like a stage presence, Cahir, and you're not even used to a stage, it's not the best place to be. You need to learn it,
Totally, yeah.
And I think, but so for the likes of yourself then, and how do you feel about that then? Do you feel like you seem to be like a spokesperson for it all? Like, you've done, your write-ups and crying and whatever else,
Yeah. I know, and sometimes I feel like, I should just shut up. But I think I'm wanting to talk about it because I'm in my 30s now. I just look back and I see now that it is changing, and I want us to keep progressing. And it's not just about gender; it's being inclusive about everything, And music is such an amazing medium where it doesn't matter what age you are, what you look like. It shouldn't anyway, or what gender you are, or whatever. It should just be music, you know, and you can connect to people like who are completely different to you through a song or through a gig experience. So I think that's just what we're trying to, we just enjoy that aspect of music, don't we?
Totally, big time.
Community thing, and
pardon me,
the experience of like hearing a live band. And like you said there about what are people's reaction going to be to this pandemic, I think we've had more support this year than we've had ever before.
Wow.
And just even through people are like buying our merch on Bandcamp Fridays, they buy songs, digital songs. I don't think we had one sale before this pandemic on digital sales. People are actually realizing that bands need that support, and if they want good music, they know they have to pay a bit of money to support that art form. So I think that's a really positive change.
It's amazing. And also that, things like the Nerve Centre and the Hot House, I've been sort of teaching online. Marty McGill up at the Nerve Centre has been putting those on, and like the kids have it's been loads of kids on there, and a strong female presence. They're just like, you have bands like Cherem and stuff here, and Row, and all these strong females who are just like nailing it across the board, writing great songs, and talking to the kids directly. And it's just like, it's so amazing, because like growing up, I never had anything like that. And so these kids have this wealth of knowledge that they have access to, you know what I mean?
And the people they have access to.
And the people they have access to, and, industry experts can come in and talk to them, and workshops where they learn stagecraft and songwriting techniques and instrument and what to do, what not to do. Industry, if they want to become an agent, a manager, work as a tour manager, a guitar technician, and a lighting designer, whatever they want to do, sound engineer in the studio, whatever. It's all there for them. And it's a whole, back in the day, even me touring with Frank as a guitar tech, encountering more and more females working in that sector is amazing. You know what I mean? It's like we're monitor engineers, riggers, stage technicians, sound engineers.
It's about doing the job, Cahir.
It's amazing.
It doesn't matter who you are or what
do
you
your
are.
job well.
If you do your job well, it doesn't matter.
And being female isn't an excuse to do your job badly either. It's like you just do. Everybody should just do their job well. And if you do that and you learn your craft, you're going to be fine.
So that's very encouraging. I think you see that's what's the difference in a scene now and a scene then.
Yeah.
Is that it's more inclusive. It's a positive change.
Well, and even the whole dynamics of music you mentioned earlier about the downloading digital. What do you both see the music industry looking like after this? Because like anything in life, everything will have its time, and then we revamp again.
Yeah.
We re-energize, re-plan, and look at what is the new way forward. And what do you both think?
Well, I think that exactly. I think this pandemic and the shutting down of the music industry is a great time to reevaluate the music industry and how it's set up. And I think, moving forward, we're people are loving old records, vinyl. People love that, you know what I mean? Getting their, and it's not just a novelty. It's like,
the media tell everybody to dump them.
Yeah. It's just like, totally. And so that has a major resurgence at the minute. And so people are digesting their music differently. Yes, they're using Spotify and all. Are Spotify paying artists properly? No, they're not. It's a disgrace. It's a monopoly, and it should change. Yeah. The old guard, the record labels, that's dying out. That's dying a death in the way that they.
The old model is not working.
The old model is still present in the music industry, but it does not work, and it's time to change and revamp. And the person at the bottom of the heap is the artist, and it's just not fair. It's just not fair at all, and it should change. Or sustainable. Like, how do you make a career in music? You have to go behind the scenes to make money.
Yeah.
Why can you not sustain a career as an artist?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
The infrastructure is not there. You know what I mean? Artists aren't getting paid properly. Everyone else is getting paid properly. Artists aren't. There's no guarantee. And so you have to reach a certain level before you can make money as an artist. You know what I mean? Which most people don't get to.
Yeah.
It's still 50 quid support fee for a band. 50 quid wouldn't put petrol in your fucking tank. Give us a break.
Yeah.
So I think with this pandemic, when all's said and done, and the music industry starts to put up again, we need to have a serious look at this. Yeah. And I think we will, because I think, people are starting to value music more. They're stuck at home.
Do you think
couldn't go out?
Yeah.
So, let's buy some good music. Let's search now.
People start to feel that.
They're feeling it.
And do you think that now that with the likes of the Arts Council Northern Ireland coming in, and
fantastic.
And I think it was a great opportunity for the Arts Council to see how many actually cultural people there was within
outside, like in the private sector,
everywhere, and that like everyone really, from the person that sings in the bar to the wedding to the Odyssey to the Ulster Hall to the Limelight to wherever it is, they all have their part, and they're all creative in their own way.
Totally.
And I think it showed how many people will work in the creative industries, not just music people. The Arts Council supported visual artists. They've supported all different, and
look at We Make Events as well in Northern Ireland. You know what I mean? They have been sort of lobbying hard for, venues, promoters, sound engineers to manage. I mean, there's an entire security guards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think people only realise, Cahir, and
totally.
how many it takes to put together.
A gig is not just the band on stage.
Yeah.
A gig is so many people behind the scenes. You know what I mean?
I think people realise that now.
They are.
And
they are. They're supporting it.
Yeah.
And, the Arts Council have done a great thing. Like I say, the old guard is changing, and there's people coming on here more progressive, and they're just like, you know what, these people need money, and these people, let's help these people, because it ultimately
let's make
will
a
pay
holistic,
back dividends, you know what I mean?
Let's make a holistic approach to all art forms, and make it that everyone has an equal right and a bite
and
to
value,
and if you don't make it, well and good, but at least give people the opportunity, because I think now there's more opportunity for contemporary artists than there ever was before from people like the Arts Council. For instance, you'd never thought years ago that the way they're granting people now to do projects, the travel awards there, and there's certain things, and even I suppose in Northern Ireland help musicians, NI, as I say, so there's places now, I think, and people out there supporting artists weren't there before. And you're certainly right, Cahir, that sometimes all takes in a certain structure or body as certain individuals going in that knows about putting on a gig, that knows about how much it costs, and knows the infrastructure it takes, and knows what it takes to get the band in and all that goes with it. So I think that's important in the future. And like, see, for any of the likes of young artists out there, for the likes of yourselves, what kind of advice would you give, Cahir? Because a lot of people I'm speaking to now, well, I've spoke to a few people last while, and they're trying to do their work life sort of balance to their creativity balance. It's kind of like one scenario was that I think I read a thing a way back about this artist, and one of these things that people say, who are they? Well, the fact is that there's loads of artists people don't know. So they showed this sort of tour they done, and they're actually man and wife, and they hired on a few band members. They got on their bus, they toured all around. They used their holiday time. They took the kids in the van, and they the band was all paid out of it. They came out the end enough to sort of look, we can do this next year again. And they went back to their work wherever. One was an accountant and one was whatever. Do you think is that the way that creativity is going to work in the future? That because going back, Cahir, to what you said earlier on about independence, because what good people out there need to know about the new Pagans is that you and Lyndsey, you're running everything, the publishing, everything that's meant to be inside. So obviously, that's where it used to lie for the big labels and the publishers. Now you know about that, so you've took that on board. Is that something that in the future
Well,
you know?
I think that, musicians, people in bands, artists, people just want to earn a living.
Yes.
They're not looking to be millionaires. I think
Yeah.
that this sort of misconception.
Swimming
sorry.
pools and cars.
This misconception about the music
Yeah,
industry, $1 bill, bling bling. It just doesn't exist. I've done van tours for the last 20 odd years, and it stinks. It's hard work.
The vandals are what?
No, it's just
people,
Everything.
everything stinks.
Cahir mostly.
It's a
boggin socks.
It's a boggin nightmare. But it's hard work. Being in a band is not glamorous. It is difficult. It is very, very hard. There's no guarantee.
But you're a creative person. You're creative people. You can't take that spark out.
But I think young people looking in at the industry, you know what I mean? Your question is like, what advice would you give young people looking in the industry and what can they expect? What they can expect is like to be treated horrifically and not fairly at all. You know what I mean? But like I was saying, I'm optimistic that that's going to change after this sort of pandemic nightmare is over and done with. But young people can expect that doors closed in their face, jobs for the lads, that kind of thing. And yes, that is getting phased out more, but it's still there, And what they can expect is, they need to be able to work hard and, be creative, and working hard is a difficult thing, because you've got your job. You've got to make money somehow as well to live, right?
Yeah.
So we all work as well as playing New Pagans. We're not at the stage.
It's expensive actually being in a band.
Really
the
expensive.
thing that we've done, and I would advise younger musicians to do, is like we've built this team of people that we like, our manager and PR people, and then we also have now just signed to Big Scary Monsters, like a small indie label. But even just having their support has been amazing in this last campaign. And you can see that you just build this team of people that you trust, that are ethically minded, and they're going to protect you and your business, and they're not going to try and take advantage of you. I think it's that, isn't it? Like that's the way forward, because going and signing to a major, not that we've been offered that, but if we were, I don't think we would, because we've discussed this already and we're like, this is our own business.
If a major came in after tonight's wee chat,
Cahir said no.
No way.
So don't bother coming in.
no way, Cahir.
Never again.
Ulcer says no. Basically,
is that a stomach ulcer? You're on about
ulcer says no. But you'll get a stomach ulcer 5.
You can do it. You can build your own team. You run it like a business.
Yeah. And so for the future then, what's the plans? I know we're, for the albums coming out.
Yep.
Album comes out on Friday, the 19th of March. It's called The Seed, The Vessel, The
We
Roots
will
and
have this
All.
podcast ready by then.
Great.
There's a live show.
Lads,
as
you know what to
well.
do. Nathan cut out my mistake as well on the guitar earlier. Fix it. You know how to do it.
So next week in the Nerve Centre, go ahead there.
Yes, we're doing a.
Give it the ad one.
Yeah, go.
We've done it. This is our second ad.
We're
Right?
doing
it right. Ad break. Plug for New Pagans album.
Buy the New Pagans album from Big Scary Monsters.
Big Scary Monster.
It's called The Seed, The Vessel,
Big Scary Monster.
The Roots and
Big
All.
Scary Monster.
Northwest Coast. Live stream. That's right. We're doing a live stream from the Nerve Centre on the day of our album release on the 19th. It's free to watch.
The album's not free now.
The album is not free.
Right. So
We've been talking about this already.
Money.
We're all about the money. Break me up.
So in the Nerve Centre next week, Big Scary Monster.
Big Scary Monster. We're doing a show for you guys, and so
You have to sign up
before
11 a.m. on Friday the 19th.
Yeah, and then you get a link, and then it's free, and you can jump in and have a few beers and watch us play some rock songs. And we're really excited about it because we get to play a show.
And you can do that on newpagans.com.
And so the full band.
Full band.
Walking out,
and,
full force. No mercy.
No mercy for Cahir and the boys and the kids.
Absolutely no mercy. It's a proper show.
And
and so, we're excited about it because it's like,
It's our album party.
It's our
that we
album
can't
party.
have anyone there.
Yeah, we can't have anyone there. It's all
So
socially distanced.
there's like
You can't have an audience.
there's
Can't
just
have an
yourselves.
audience.
No, I know you can't have an
just
audience.
us.
Just yourselves.
It's just us. But, you know, and hopefully everyone watching at home.
And the lighting person. And the film.
I don't know why my eyes going like that. Why is your eye going like
Just
that?
us. Just us. Yeah, but and the fantastic team at the Nerve Centre that helped us out, and you know, big thanks to Marty McGill and everyone
Yeah.
there for
Complete and utter gentleman.
gentleman to the bitter end.
And do you know he's doing wild bacon at the minute? He's doing wild. You should see some of his cakes. He fires out these.
mention cakes to me.
He fires out these Vietnamese loaf bombs and all these
Right.
weird
Wow.
stuff. And
Marty. Hook me up.
I actually said to him,
I'm a cake man, Marty.
I said to him, I said, I've sent the pigeon now for a slice. So he must have shot the pigeon because he never come home to me.
Just put it in the bag.
Pigeon cake, pigeon pie.
Next week it's stout dairy pigeon pie with yin yin sauce from Taiwan. And so he's making all these cool cakes and bread and all. So and lockdown, it just all sort of happening. You know, do you not feel
Marty, you've been holding out me, boy.
I know there's a lot of people taking the cooking craze, you know, in lockdown.
Fair play
Isn't
to
it?
them.
Did you feel like cooking any wee sponge
No.
cakes or any Cahir? No, or what about Rice Krispie and
We
chocolate?
used to love cooking, you know, but when we now have 2 tiny children, it's just a nightmare.
Beans and toast.
Just
Feed it.
yeah,
It's just
pizza.
it's easy meals, pasta and
Awful, gross.
All good healthy stuff, like
Oh,
you know,
really,
that-
really healthy.
healthy stuff. You know what I mean?
like
Healthy
salads
stuff.
and all
Just,
that.
yeah. They won't, here's the thing.
Avocado. They do like avocado and bananas. That's pretty.
I would just sort of give the Waynes a sausage. They won't eat it. They won't eat. They're really
vegetarian.
picky. They're really
They
picky.
are actually
They're
vegetarian.
vegetarian.
They
No,
are
they won't eat
naturally
meat.
vegetarian. They won't,
No.
they're not on the meat at all.
See, Cahir, you beat lad.
I'm eating a big burger. I'll be like, this is what you need to eat. Oh.
It's over, lad. You're going to have to get a wee hut out the back.
Exactly.
Separate house,
He's going to every hour Saturday send him
Just
out to
eating
the hut and he
rubs of
get
my
a
own. And
separate kitchen.
every hour Saturday, Cahir, put you out the hut, you can get a fry.
No, I mean,
you'll not know
that's-
yourself. Here, do you know what? We've got a few questions in. Wait, what?
Just a few questions.
So, Connor Mullen out there.
Yes, let me hear this one.
So,
Yep.
how's it been producing an album in lockdown for you? And guys?
Producing an album in lockdown has been, in one way, it was very difficult because, I mean, you have to be socially distanced and you have to sort of, you know, you can't get into studios. It's just not, you can't just go and walk into the studio or whatever. So you're mixing everything at home. And so with the kids and stuff like that, it's sort of, it's hard, like, but in another way, it's,
We've had time.
we've had time. Yes, we've had the time, obviously, to sit.
Because
to-
normally you'd be
you know,
gigs all the time. And
I'm touring a lot. I'm working on the road.
this is the
you
first
know.
time we've had Cahir home for like months and months on end.
This is why the album's coming
my
out,
God.
because I actually have the time to sit down
Yeah.
and
You
finish
usually
it.
be married, you know, sometimes say 25 years, and you work it all out. You've actually been married
been
5
married
years.
25
I know,
years,
you
yeah.
see, I
5
like
years
that.
together.
I like
You know,
going away.
You know,
Yeah.
how long are you together? 25 years. No, actually,
Actually,
5. You know,
He's had to do a few other jobs, and I'm like, yes, he's leaving.
He's leaving. Yes,
Because
Get out.
I'm used to my own time.
She loves her own.
so another one in here. Who are the new Pagans' favourite new bands, local or otherwise?
That's very good. My favorite local band. I've got a couple. I'll go with Careerist, who are fantastic. They used to be called Hot Cops. They're absolutely amazing. Chatham, I love Chatham, and Touts band. I love those loads, especially Matthew. He's got great lips.
Yeah. Do you find him a sexy guy?
He's very sexy. Luke is also sexy. And
Luke's
Jason.
kinda cool.
The three of them.
They've
It
got a-
looks cool.
But
Jason-
he's always
they're like-
been that way. He's always been a wee sort of.
They're
a
like
wee
superheroes.
wee
They're like
rocker.
three superheroes.
Looks a wee leather lad guy.
You know,
leather
it's
jacket all the time.
Aye, that's right.
Yeah.
Aye. And so Luke's cool. Jason's like the nerd. He's like the brainiac. You know what I mean? And then Matthew's a sexy one. So
So here's one in from Illinois.
Oh, you're lying. Where I'm from.
Have you found lockdown helpful for writing new material? And is that something you have at the minute? I know you've just put out your album, but
Yeah.
are you thinking about the next release?
We are. We've written quite a bit. which is because it took us so long to write up this first album because, you know, we had so many other things. I'm in the middle of a PhD as well, and you were away with Frank all the time. But like, because you were home, we didn't realize until relatively recently when we started listening back over the demos, and we're like, this is good. So fingers crossed.
This is good. No egos. This is fucking
sometimes
great.
you write a song and you listen back to it and you're like, that is the worst thing I've ever heard. Why did we even think that was good? But we've written some solid songs, so we're excited.
We might even play a new one at the live stream.
Oh, yeah, we might.
Oh, you're gonna be naughty, Cahir. Oh, you would do that, wouldn't you? You would do that, wouldn't you?
Well,
don't tell Charlene.
We might. We haven't decided yet. We might play a new song
if you can
at the
not
live
mess
stream.
it up.
If I don't fuck it up.
No, you'll be grand. So, live stream next week, Nerve Centre.
Yeah.
Nerve Centre.
Is it a link you said? People have to tune in on the link?
You can either get it on the Nerve Centre website if you just look up
or
New
Big
Pagans,
Scary Monsters, or
it's ours,
it's
newpagans.com.
Yeah, and you'll be putting it out during the week anyway for people out there, and
afterwards, yeah.
And yet again, for any new fans out there, maybe be listening to this, where can they get the album again or hear you as a band?
You can hear us at newpagans.com. You can buy the album at bigscarymonsters.com, and you know,
all the usual social media
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll be bombarding everybody this week. So I mean, follow us on Twitter or Facebook. Don't unfollow us. Follow us on follow. You know, all the usual hashtag follow me.
If there was a delay on your voice now, it would just go follow. Follow. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, just on that point. Oh, did you do it? Did you do it? Oh yeah. Yeah,
It was like Crazy Frog. Yeah.
I'm spending too much time with children who sing all the time.
It's all right. And we around and round and round and round and round and round again.
Kill me now and kill me now.
Here, just a question in there about your name, the New Pagans.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about for yourselves, or did you just?
We thought about it for ages.
It was
we had
very
lists and lists. And
very
lists.
punishing. But the song we played for you guys, "Ode to None," was actually originally called "New Pagans" because as the line in it, we're the New Pagans. And so I said to Lyndsey, let's just use that. That's a great name for a band.
I said, no, because my mum and dad won't like it.
Yeah. And I said,
my lovely parents.
Why would you think that? Is it just the name?
Just because, you know, it sounds satanic or something, you know. But we discussed it and we're like, it's not a good enough reason not to call
satanic. Bring it on. That's what I want. 666.
But
I want a guitar that is the
I was
666.
one round and I took Cahir's experience. And anyway, band names are always really awful. I think it's the band that makes a name, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you think about it. So I thought,
are your parents happy enough now?
They're grand. They don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, they're over the moon. They love it.
Look, it's been brilliant having you both in. Cahir, Lyndsey.
Thank you very much for having us. We love you.
It's been a great pleasure and massive love to you both. And from all here in the Small But Massive podcast, Kayleen, Nathan, Stella, Tierney, we love them all.
Thank you.
We give them massive love, don't we, Cahir?
We do.
Always.
We send the love out with our hands together.
Always
Have
send
you
the
the
love
hands
out.
out? Lyndsey, your hands out. Cahir, hands out. Love, send the love. Let's sing together. Send the love. Send the love. Send the love. Send the love. Keep it going, Cahir. Keep it going. Thank you very much to Small and Massive Podcast.
Send that love.
This has
Send
been
that love.
the New
Send that
Pagans.
love.
You have
Send
all
that
been
love.
great.
Send that
Thank
love.
you very much.
Send the love.
See you soon again.
Send
All the
that
best.
love.
Send that
Send
love.
the
Love. Love.
Send the love. Nathan, fix my guitar.
Send that love. Send the
Up we go.
love.
Up we go there, Lyndsey. Send that love. Send the love.